Hi, I'm Kent,
And I'm Anna.
and this is Film and Family. We're married, wildly in love with each other, we actually like our kids most of the time, and we make feature films.
We are living proof that film and family are not mutually exclusive, and we believe that anyone, in any circumstance, can make a feature film.
Hit subscribe to never miss an episode.
Let's jump right in. For this podcast episode, we're bringing you our conversation with a client who's also a fellow filmmaker and friend. Sam is a really fun, cool guy. He came into the program wanting to work on time management. I think you'll really enjoy hearing his story. He was planning to quit his job so that he could spend all his time making a feature film. And in the end, things turned out even better than he thought they would. So, for any of you who feel like you don't have time to make a feature film, you're going to love this episode. We really had fun recording this, and we hope you have just as much fun listening. So without further ado, here is our conversation with Sam Featherstone. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Talk to me about, introduce yourself and talk to me about your family.
Yeah. So I'm Sam Featherstone, and I work full time as a visual content manager at Kodiak Cakes. And my wife, I wish she was in here because I'd introduce her, but is Emma, and I have two kids. Eli, who's our most recent little guy. He was born almost a year ago in January. And Livy, who's our 2.5-year-old, and she's our just bundle of joy. She's in full-on princess stage right now. So,
oh, that's fun.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
So I want to hear the whole story because you told me things turned out a little differently.
Yeah,
You're still working at Kodiak Cakes and stuff.
Yeah, it took a turn. So, it did not pan out quite how I anticipated, but better than I expected. Far better than I expected, because originally, when we first, coming into the program, I think I mentioned this to you at the very start, Anna, was I had kind of been like observing it from a distance for about 4 or 5 months, maybe even like 6 months, debating whether or not I was like, should I do this? Should I not? And then it just sort of like one day I just felt very strongly like, okay, this is something you need to do. You need to get on top of it and get a handle mostly on my time management. That was like kind of the kicker, because I felt like I just couldn't get out of my own way. Right. And so it was mostly time management, and the goal was to be able to leave Kodiak Cakes by the end of it, to feel like, okay, I could start doing my own production company, and once I can, feel confident about my time management, I can move into that and feel confidently that I'm not going to shoot myself in the foot just by wasting time. And so throughout the process, I think just changing my mentality to, nobody's forcing me to work there, and it's my decision to be at Kodiak Cakes, and choosing, not only that, but to enjoy it, choosing that every day I get to go and do what I love for a company that I really I'm proud of working for. And so just that shift in mentality was something that just sort of came as a byproduct of the program. And then when it got to kind of September 15th was the deadline that I set for myself to leave Kodiak Cakes. I think it was at the end of August. I had reached out. It was interesting because the company had just been bought in June by a private equity firm, and we got moved back under the creative department. And I saw the opportunity for some changes that I was kind of hoping for, as far as moving into a different position and more of a management role, and being able to step back and direct more than actually directing, basically hiring more people to be able to do the roles that I just felt like I was doing everything right. And so finally I reached out to our creative director and said, hey, my plan is to leave on the 15th. I am out the door on the 15th, unless like something can change, because this is ultimately like, I do love the company, and I'd love to continue working for the company, but here were a few holdups that made me want to leave. And he said, okay, let me think on that for a little bit and get back to you. And it was great, because that same day that I sent him the email, I left on a freelance trip to Alaska for like 10 days. And it was basically, balls in your court, I'm going off the grid for about 10 days. And so I came back, and he said, okay, we want to move you into a management role that's managing the photographer. We're going to hire a videographer. And and you're going to be managing that team and be able to step into more of a full-time director capacity and set, so that you don't have to worry so much about the shooting and editing and all that sort of stuff, but you can sort of do what you've been wanting to, and with a pay increase and everything. And I was like, you know what, like this is ultimately what I wanted to be doing freelance, but I get to do it, continue to do it for a company that I really like. And the nice thing is being able to really focus and like on that one company and help build that brand, and also work with people that I get along with really well in the first place. And so it kind of shook out how I was not expecting. But the nice thing is that now with the new position and with way better time management skills, I have way more time on my hands than I felt like I had before. I probably had the same amount, but now I'm just so much better at managing it. And I do have a lot of freed up time where I'm not the one that's sitting down in front of the computer to edit for X amount of time. And so that time is spent doing other things for the company, but also it's totally opened up the time to focus more on the projects that I want to be doing, such as a feature and other like smaller projects that have sort of piqued my interest. But yeah, so it's kind of awesome. I feel like I'm in a pretty awesome position, and I'm extremely grateful for it, to you guys, and just coach me along the way, honestly.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome that you were ready to leave, and then they're like, wait.
Like, no, hold up.
It gets even better.
And sometimes when you actually I feel like when you become like a free agent, and that's a mental thing, right? When you decide you're going to step into this agency that you actually have, then everyone starts to like want you. The ball shifts, and so it stops. The relationship changes. It's no longer, oh, I need you to do all this stuff, do it for me. And it's, oh, like, okay, now it's us needing you. I don't know, like it turned around.
The dynamic kind of changes.
Yeah.
Because you own, it's not like you're trying to play hard to get or play hard ball, or it's not a strategy or tactic. It's just you recognizing that you're your own agency. And I think that when everyone does that, all the relationships are usually more respectful. Hopefully. I mean, and if they're not, then usually you just use your agency to walk away from it. And it's usually more of a win-win for everyone involved, I feel. So that seems like...
Yeah, I feel like it's just that you decide what you want to do. Once you've decided, like, this is what I want to do and I'm going to do it, people will either come along with you or not. And you find a way to do that thing.
Or different people will.
Yeah.
So what's actually in Kodiak Cakes? I'm just kidding.
What's the secret ingredient?
The secret recipe.
That's funny. So basically all that I knew about you, because Anna doesn't really talk too much about the details of her clients, is that you work for Kodiak Cakes and that you're planning to maybe make a transition by the end, but that was the only thing. And so, however, I can't see or eat Kodiak Cakes anymore without being like, oh yeah, Sam Featherstone works at Kodiak Cakes. Like,
I know,
like,
me too. I'm like, I think about you every time.
You've become synonymous with Kodiak Cakes, and we're actually pretty healthy eaters, and so it's the only mix that I feel like we eat, because it's...
Well, you guys should send me your address, and I will send you, we'll call it a care package.
Kodiak care package.
Kodiak care, exactly. Yeah. Get you guys some new mixes, and I know they got the cups, which are super easy. Our daughter eats the oatmeal just about every morning.
Yeah.
Like, so what do you want this morning, Livy? It's oatmeal and yogurt. That's the go-to. So, yeah.
So do you eat pancakes now? Because I remember you said that you didn't before.
Right. I did before. It was when I was younger. I hated pancakes. I would wake up and I would throw a fit if my mom had made and she would make the homemade pancakes too, which is basically what Kodiak Cakes are. And I was, I'd just be so upset. But then it changed over time when I learned the power of butter in making pancakes. And then there's actually enough flavors that at Kodiak Cakes where I'm like, yeah, actually they're pretty good. But the thing, this is funny, I think the mix that I eat the very most is not a pancake mix, but I'll make the cornbread mix in the waffles. And I love that because it's not so sweet as a lot of the other ones. And it's, I don't know, I just love cornbread too. So it's, I don't know, win-win for me.
I do supplementing my pancakes with cornmeal. I like it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, I've definitely enjoyed that.
Well, so my question was, I mean, it doesn't matter where this is at, but I'm just curious to know if have Have you decided on a very specific concept for the feature that I know you want to make? Have you written some stuff? Have you started writing? Or where are you at?
So let me tell you a little story here. This requires maybe a little background, but I've had the idea kind of bouncing around my head, little bits and pieces. I'm sure everybody experiences, right? Little scenes that I'll write down on like a piece of paper. If I'm at my computer, I'll be, okay, this will be funny. And I've got the concept pretty dialed in on what I wanted it to be. And I would block out the times in my schedule when I was calendaring, the times when I wanted to write and get the story on paper. And so I'd find myself more outlining and getting that sort of stuff down. And it would always kind of shift and change. And I realized something sort of in that process. I don't really enjoy working on a project by myself. I'm far more team oriented. If I've got at least one person to be able to bounce ideas off of, it helps me come up with new ideas, fresh ideas, and be able to just structure it a little faster and I think more effectively. And so once that started to happen, it was in Alaska, I think, on that same trip where I was really kind of debating. I was like, okay, if I'm going full-time freelance, I'm going to hit this really hard. I spent a lot of those first weeks when I'm drumming up work to just really focused on getting the script written and everything. And then on the other side, I was like, and if something happens where I do decide to stay at Kodiak Cakes, if they counter with an offer that I'll want to take, I'm still going to find the time, but it'll be more just kind of finding the time where I want to write and everything instead of hitting it quite as hard as I would if I was freelance. And it was while I was out there, because I was kind of bouncing out ideas off of some of the people we were working with, I realized, I think I want to work with a writer on this. I think I'd be better off if I worked with somebody who actually, because it was funny. I feel like I haven't been working on screenplays for a while, and I've been working a lot more on advertising, which I've changed kind of my process, where it felt fairly unfamiliar getting back into full outline character, like breakdowns and everything. I was like, oh heck, like this feels a little overwhelming just for me right now. And so if I work with a writer, this allow me to flesh it out a little bit more, to be able to bounce ideas off of somebody and sort of hone in on better ideas and better characters and all that sort of stuff. And so I wrote On the Rocks with Martha Rawlison, and then she's great with just building the characters and the actual writing process. And so I reached out to her to see if she would even be interested in the idea, and kind of just laid out just a brief synopsis for her on what it is. And I knew it was right up her alley, and it was great because I reached out to her and was like, hey, I'm going to send you this idea. If you're not interested, just tell me. And she's like, yeah, I'm fairly busy, but I'll take a look and see what you think. And it was funny. The second she got the email, she's like, I love it. I want to do it. Let's do this. This is fun. So I was like, okay, good. I at least know that the idea is there. And if Martha's excited about it, then it got me more excited about it. Right. And so we jumped on a phone call a few weeks ago and started to just I kind of brain dump I am right now, as far as, here's my idea. This is where I think it could go. This is why I think it could be fun. Here are some visual examples. And I sent her probably 10 videos that she watched probably half, because she's like, Sam, you're overloading me right now. but basically got to the point where it's okay, we're working on this together, and I can focus a lot more on just the story as a whole, and let Martha kind of help me just dial the story in, and we just work better together anyway. At least for me. She might work pretty well alone, but I having somebody where I can just just bounce stuff off of. So yeah, we're just wrapping up kind of the emotional beats and the emotional journey for our four main characters, and now we're going to start going in and plotting just about everything. And then I think our goal right now is to be done by February 15th. If we can get it done sooner, then all the better. But that's our timeline right now, and we're really hoping, or I'm hoping, that we can get it dialed in enough and to be able to start finding some money for it by the summer, and shot any time in the summer, honestly, anytime between June to September, it could work. And so I'm hoping to shoot something this coming year. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
So yeah, and it's a simple enough, really 5-character story that is actually quite, like, I think it's quite a bit of fun, and it's small enough that it's very doable. And so I think it can actually, no, I know if we take the right steps to make it happen, it'll happen. So yeah. So that's where we're at on that.
Oh, that's
That was a
exciting.
lot, you
Great.
guys. I'm sorry. I just need to.
No,
I'm a terrible interviewer. It's funny when I'm directing projects and I'm the person interviewing. I'm like, okay, let's just take all that and just sum it up in about this much time. And I am an interviewer's worst nightmare because I just won't shut up.
No,
So I'm
no,
sorry.
No,
no.
you're great. This is long form because it's podcast, so it's a little.
Yeah.
That's good.
Anna was like,
And
I
I
think
can edit.
Sam reminds me a lot of you. And I was like, oh, I wonder why. And then you're like, I'm all stream of conscious. And I'm like, all right, yeah.
Okay.
Sounds like someone I know. Yeah.
That's funny.
Right.
No, I process literally everything out loud. I have to just talk it out. So,
Right. That's totally me.
oh, that's exciting. No, I think it's a good. You're in the honeymoon phase, I think, of that story development and everything. So, I'm excited. Well, if you ever need anyone to read, well, I'm a happy reader. But if you want to just
Absolutely.
otherwise, I'll just wait to see it in theaters. So, or wherever on Netflix
wherever,
when it gets
yeah.
bought for a few million. So
Let's hope that's the case.
So, Sam, you mentioned that you spent some time watching the Film and Family Academy before you decided to join. Can you tell us why you eventually decided to join in the first place?
That one's actually pretty easy. I knew I needed some type of intervention, for lack of a better word. Like I needed a little more structure, or somebody to kind of help me structure my life better. And I knew if I could just change the way that I was thinking and approaching my time, I'd be able to get more done, do the projects that I wanted to, be more productive at work, at home, in just about every aspect of my life. And I wouldn't feel guilty for the time that I was taking off to do the other things that I wanted to do, right? That I would normally call time wasters, but now they're like, rewards and that type of thing. And so I would, for example, I'd work or I'd be at work for, most of the day. And a lot of that time would be filled with just filler stuff that would just distractions, where if I didn't want to do a project, or if I didn't want to get into an edit, I would just find anything and everything to distract myself, because I knew that, hey, this edit's going to take some time, but I would turn it into a mountain rather than just take it one step at a time. And so basically, long story short, I knew that I needed help to sort of figure that out. And I observed the program, or what you were putting out, for probably 5 months. And then it was just one day. Honestly, it was inspiration. It was one of those moments where it was like, okay, this is something you need to do, take action on it now. And so I sat down and said, okay, I need to do this. And shortly after, it sort of dawned on me just how helpful it was going to be for me, and managing my time better, and getting the things done that I really wanted to do, with my life. So I'm not sure what else, or if that's a good starting point.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah.
I'm curious, something that I think Anna's noticed a lot with most of her clients is that when she was putting people through private coaching, which is what you did, she had a 12-week program, and you remember, you started off, you did a little life tour, or what is it?
Home tour.
Your brain tour or whatever. And that's still part of the coursework, but you decided to focus on time management.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of the main result that you wanted to come out of this whole thing with, was I just want to feel like I'm like on top of that, and I can really control my life in that way. Well, at what point in the 12 weeks do you feel like you were like, yeah, I'm pretty solid on time management?
It's funny, for me, it wasn't super noticeable. And from day to day, it wasn't super noticeable, right? And so I would be making a conscious effort to improve and to manage my time, and sit down, create my list, my to-do list, calendar it, get it in, so I wouldn't have to worry about it anymore. And it's funny, day to day, I still felt, okay, there's still these pockets of time that I feel like I'm wasting and everything. And it almost took the help of Anna just to change the way that I was thinking about it, where it's like, no, the improvement that I made from day one to say 3-4 weeks down the road, I was like, holy crap, I'm doing pretty good. And it took that step back to realize, okay, there's definitely progress being made here, and improvement is happening. And if I just step back to take a look, I'm doing way better than I was beforehand. And so I think it was around probably week 4 when Anna helped me take that step back. And then also, I mean, just rehauling and changing the way that you think and what you tell yourself about the circumstances you're in, and the way that just the thought process that follow those was, yeah, it was a pretty gradual process. But I'd say somewhere around week 4 is when I started realize, okay, like I'm doing better. I'm starting to realize what I was hoping for through this program. And then it was just piece by piece, because I remember there were moments and weeks where I didn't do so well, but still, like, I would look at those weeks and think, like, that was not a good week for me necessarily on where I'm trying to go. But then I'd compare it to beforehand. I'm like, but still, that week I would take 100 times over any previous week before the program. So
the worst day married is better than the best day single.
Right, exactly.
No, that's what I just said was an untrue statement, just because I don't want to perpetuate the belief that marriage will complete you, but I think all of us here like marriage, generally speaking. So yeah. Well, my other question was just about, I'm curious to know, you came in with a specific thing in mind, but you look at your whole life, and usually this is very common. Your whole life wheel is like wherever, certain things are up and down, and then you have this one thing that's either your lowest point or it's just something you want to focus on, and you just kind of super focus on it, and usually you see major improvement and you feel really great about that spot in your life. And one or both things happen where I feel like what Anna's experienced is that almost all of her clients about half-ish way through feel like, I don't feel like I need coaching on this thing that I came in for to begin with anymore. And they decide, I'm going to focus on this other thing. And it's usually making a feature film, or they want to work on their marriage or whatever, or money. I think those are the most common. I think those 3. And I'm just curious to know, did you naturally see other parts of your life experiencing upticks in terms of confidence, or your money mindset, or your marriage, or your feature film career? Did you see that, or did you end up even focusing on that towards the end of the coaching process?
I mean, we touched on a few other things, but generally, I think we stayed pretty focused on time management, because coming into it, I knew that was the common denominator for just about everything else in my life. Where it's, if I can learn to really manage my time well, I will naturally be scheduling time for everything else. I'll be finding time for my family, for my relationship, for work, for whatever it is. If I can manage my time, all those things will benefit, because I'll be dedicating more time and effort to it. And so that was kind of my main focus coming into it, was time management. And even there were a few times where I think Anna probably suggested, let's maybe try something else if you're feeling pretty good about it. And I think naturally we just sort of came back to time management, just kind of as a whole, because that was one thing where I just knew, if I can improve that in that one area of my life, that would be the tide that raises all the ships. So yeah.
Well, and
do you feel like it did that?
Yeah, and that's not a please don't consider this a PR question. Yeah, it improved everything in your life, and your teeth got whiter, right? Like, I'm just curious. Do you feel like that was your plan? Time management would improve everything else. Do you feel like you saw parts of your life, oh wow, like, there's this starting to show dividends or whatever?
No, I absolutely think it did, and that's my honest, like, truthful answer. And there are, like, anymore, like, there are weeks where I feel like it's just keeping up the momentum, and sometimes I feel like my momentum's a semi truck. It's hard to get going, and then once it's moving, it's way easy to keep up. And I feel like this week has actually gotten off to a great start, and I feel like I'm just chugging right along. But when it slows down, it's hard to get moving again. But when I am making that conscious effort and really working to improve my time, it makes everything better. My relationship with Emma and my kids, and with work, and it really is everything, because I am just making that effort to make time for it. So it's improvement pretty much all around. So
That's
yeah.
funny. I've always compared myself to a train, especially when we talk about sleep, and I compare Anna to a Prius, and it takes her like 2 seconds to be like, all right, let's go. And she'll just be at 9 p.m. her body's like, sleep. It's like boom, like flip of a switch. And then it's like
Right?
5 a.m. she's like, boom, on, awake now.
Yeah.
Whereas
Oh,
I'm
man.
like, oh, I'm awake, but it's gonna take me a while to like, get into that sleep slow way down. You gotta slow that train down, and then in the morning it's all right, let's go, let's get the thing going.
That's why we were laughing.
Yeah, because you were comparing yourself to a semi truck, and I was like, oh yeah.
I get that.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, what would you say to someone who's been listening to the podcast and they're kind of thinking about maybe joining?
I think my first piece of advice would be to take a hard look at where you're at, and if you think the program could genuinely benefit you. Because where I was, I mean, I think I thought it would for a while, but it took me some investigation in the program and what you were putting out in the podcasts to really think, okay, would this benefit me? And then it took a couple of days for me to just sit down and be like honest with myself and be real, where it's like, okay, do I want to change? A, and then B, am I going to actually put in the effort that it takes to change? And how much, or how worth it is it to me to take that step? And so being real with myself and deciding, yeah, this is where I want to go. And Anna can help me get there through the coaching and helping me sort of just see those blind spots for myself and realize, okay, yeah, that's where I can improve, and give me a structure to improve. That would be probably my biggest suggestion, is to be honest with yourself, look at where you're at, and if you feel it's something that can help, to take that step. Because I mean, obviously it was a very good thing for me. What I really wanted was just to improve my time management as a whole, and honestly just change the way I thought about lots of things in my life. And that, it's funny, that was more of a byproduct of what I came in for originally, but end of the day, it was a huge step for me. It was a big step to join for me too, because a lot of that stuff, I'm like, I don't, either I wouldn't put in the effort for it, or I just felt like, I don't know that, how much something like that could help me. But it was just a moment of inspiration where I was like, okay, this is what you should do. And so that's when I decided to take a hard look at my life, where I wanted to go, and if I felt like the program could get me there. And well, here we are. So obviously I felt like it could, and I definitely feel like it did.
Oh, that's awesome.
No, it's great to hear. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What do you feel like is, if you could, like, this might put you on the spot, so feel free to think about it. If you could sum up one or two things that were like the biggest principles, or maybe just mind shifts. This is how I used to think, and this is how I think now. And I don't know. So the biggest things you've learned. I don't know. It's asking you what your favorite movie is. You just tell me the first two that popped to your head, right?
It's funny. This is a pretty simple answer for me. Funny enough, I think before the program and working with Anna, my immediate thought process was, I'm trying to fill in like the blank the best way. So for example, let's say I'm trying to sit down and write a screenplay, right? And in my brain, it was, I can't write today because I don't have enough time, or I can't fill in the blank, whatever it is. And that's where I think my mental block was before going into the program. And I think the biggest shift in thinking for me was putting an if at the front of all of my thoughts as far as accomplishing what I want to do. Because I mean, I still waste time. There are moments where I find myself just filling time with mindless stuff. And beforehand, that would totally derail me for the rest of the day, where it's like, I've wasted too much time. And that's sort of example of the thought, right? I've wasted too much time. I can't do this anymore because I've already squandered the opportunity, right? And now it's shifted that, where if I find myself wasting time, or at the start of the day, I say, okay, if I stop doing this, and if I can just get started on the first step of whatever I'm trying to accomplish, I can get that thing done. And so like if it's the screenplay, if I sit down at 9 o'clock and start writing, I'll have a page or two done by 9:30. And then to sort of compound on that, if I'm wasting time, or if I don't hit that benchmark at 9 o'clock, like and then 10 o'clock rolls around and I haven't gotten started on that, I can think, okay, if I start at 10 o'clock, maybe I won't get as far as I had originally planned, but if I just get started, I'll accomplish who knows what. And so I think for me, it's just adding that if at the front where it's changing, and that completely changes for my brain. It completely changes the conversation I'm having with myself, and it makes me believe, or helps me believe, that I can get the things done that I want to get done, that I need to get done, and things that I've put off for a long time. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
No, it does. And you know what else I'm curious about is I feel a lot of these things are, well, I'll just ask you, do you feel like that was something that Anna sort of taught you or instructed you, or do you feel like that was something that she just kind of worked with you and probed you until like you, I don't know, how much of that was your own conclusion and how much of that was just pure instruction? Some of those conclusions you made.
I mean, it was a little bit of both. For me, it took somebody pointing out the flaws in thinking, right? And that's something where the way that you think as a person, it's hard to get out of your own subjectivity, if that makes sense. It's hard to truly look at something objectively and say, okay, here's the circumstance, and then here's the way that I'm thinking about it. It helped to just sort of brain dump to Anna, and then she would read back to me some things that I was saying to myself and say, okay, what's the problem with this? And so that's where she kind of put it back to me and said, okay, where's the issue here? What are you seeing? And then I could point out, oh, I'm telling myself this lie essentially, and it's affecting the way I feel about it, the way I think about it, and ultimately the result I'm getting is not what I want. And so it was mostly just having her help me see that, and then together we basically just restructured that thought where it was, okay, here's the objective circumstance. Now let's figure out the thought, that we're having afterwards. And that's where if I get started or just take the first step, I'll accomplish way more than I would have expected to. And then instead of feeling overwhelm and stress and frustration, it changed to hope and, oh, I can actually, optimism essentially. So yeah, it just changed the whole result and output for me on that end. So
yeah.
Was it hard to believe that thought at first?
Oh yeah.
If I take the first step, that it'll work out. How did you get from where you didn't believe that to believing it?
Well, I guess I should say it wasn't so difficult to believe as much as it was to do, because I knew the way that I worked, and it was more of, okay, if I do take that first step, there's plenty of experiences in my life that prove that is the case, where I can look back and with solid proof say, if I do take that first step, it'll happen. But I think reinforcing that, because it's, for me, it was easy to look back and see, okay, that's some concrete proof in the past. But now that I'm making a conscious effort to notice and do that, rather than just observing in the past, oh yeah, here's a time that it worked, but making the effort to say, okay, I'm going to put that theory to the test and take that first step and say, okay, I'm consciously, I'm making that first step, I'm expecting this result, and seeing it actually happen just reinforces the belief where, yeah, that it works. What I've established here and with Anna, it's working for me. It's something that I can move forward with and use every day moving forward. And so, yeah, hopefully that.
So it's more difficult at the beginning, but the more you do it, the more it reinforces.
Yeah, the more you do it, the more it reinforces it. And so, yeah, it's I mean, it's just a process for me, and just getting that positive reinforcement of that experience moving forward. And yeah, over time, it becomes something that's very easy to believe.
Anything with practice can become easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have more practice seeing evidence. So that's awesome.
So now you're preparing to make a feature film. Do you feel like that thought crosses over and you can think that about, if I just put in a little time each day, I can make this thing happen? Do you see that?
Yeah. When it comes to the feature film, initially before this, I just saw the mountain, right? And it's, I don't really know where to start. I know where to start, but I don't, it just looks so overwhelming and so just, yeah, too much. And now like just sort of applying that thought process and just the belief that I can do it and make it successful is huge, right? Because before it was like I want to do this, but I can't for this reason and this reason and this reason. Just list it. Everybody's got a million different reasons to not do it. And it's just believe, honestly, for me, it was just believing, no, I can do this. I can do this. And if I take that first step, and for me, it was believing that I could make a feature, and then just knowing myself and seeing sort of the steps where I needed help along the way. And for me, it was calling Martha and having somebody that I could just bounce ideas off of and help me get it onto paper and get the script done. And so it's just taking it one piece at a time. And honestly, the checklist definitely helps, because then I can look down the road and just see, okay, I'm doing this, and this. And I don't really need to worry so much about these next steps. It's just focusing on one piece at a time. And the smaller, I shouldn't say the smaller task, but the smaller I make the next step, the easier it is to take, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, well,
totally.
it's true, and that's kind of what the checklist does. I'll be honest, I made fun of Anna for weeks about that checklist. I was like, why are you so obsessed about getting this checklist done? Because I thought that doesn't seem that useful to me. It's, first of all, most people know like what they need to do. They're just not doing it. And second of all, I don't know. I just didn't really see the value in it. And now, like, even now I think about like even just working on our next feature. I'm glad we have this checklist that we made. It's just nice to have it written down, so I don't have to worry about the next steps. I just need to worry about the next one and I just do it. It's
Well, and I just did a production timeline for a feature film, and I took every item on the checklist and just put them all on a calendar. So I was like, okay, there it is. We'll just take this thing this week and then this thing.
I was trying to balance all 112 things in my head, and you're like, all right, but then what if but then I have to, it's the mountain thing where you just hold it all up in your brain. It's just, and then it just kills you. That's funny.
Just get manageable bites and you can just take it one piece at a time. It makes it so much easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so it's interesting. So, and then you reached out to this writer and fortuitously she was interested, but do you think you would have decided to keep writing if she wasn't interested?
Yeah. If she wasn't interested, I probably, at that point, I think I just realized how beneficial it was for me to have somebody to communicate with and to be able to, brainstorm with, and how much more I enjoy the process of working with somebody else rather than just trying to do it on my own. So I probably would have reached out to a few more people and seen if they were interested. And if not, if they had not said yes, let's say I just got a hard no from everybody, then I absolutely would have done it myself. I would have probably changed my mentality to thinking, okay, I can get this done if I work with somebody, to I can get this done if I take the next step and just determine what that step is and just break it down easily for my brain to handle and manage, and then I'll move forward.
Yeah. I mean, I just asked that question because I get the sense that you are taking more of that ownership mentality where you're just, it's not like I need someone else to tell me that, oh yeah, I'm interested in this and I'll do it with you. It's, but because you believed, I think someone might be interested, you reached out, right? And so that's, and it was true. You were right. So,
well, and I love seeing how confident you are that you're going to find a way to make this happen. And even that you have this timeline and you're thinking, yeah, this year I'm going to make a movie. This next year we're going to shoot probably in the summer. We're going to get it financed and finish the script. And I think that's what happens when we realize that we're in charge of our results, is that we suddenly become empowered to create them and feel confident that you can get that result. So it's just nice to see that seems to be your mindset.
Yeah. So Sam, you've talked a little bit about some of the results that you've seen in your time management thought processes and stuff. And I'm wondering, so far today, you've mentioned to me that you are now working with a co-writer. You've got some goals on writing process and production and funding. You've got another result that you've talked about is a promotion, pay increase, a management position.
Man, when you lay it all like that, it sounds pretty good.
Well, it is really good. And a lot of us can look back on the last year of our lives and often see a lot of progress, but especially when we're, doing the work, it's it's easier to see. And so you've gotten a promotion, you've had some pay increase, you're in a management position, which you said has given you more flexibility to work on your feature that you are working on. And you've mentioned your family, but you haven't talked about them a lot. I'm just wondering, do you feel like, see, this is where the judge would be like, that's leading. I'm trying to figure out how to ask this.
Leading question, Your Honor.
All my questions sound like, so like, could you just say again that people should like buy this program one more time? No, but like, I'm genuinely curious, how much of this do you personally attribute to results from some of the thought work,
The tools
and the model that you've been working with, and how much of it do you think would have happened had you not, just done any of this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I believe that, I mean, a lot of good things still would have happened, but I don't think that they would have happened nearly to the extent that they have, because I'm not sure that I would have put myself out there in the way that I have at Kodiak Cakes, and been more willing to just communicate and say, like, you know what, I'm leaving on the 15th. I'm planning on leaving on the 15th, unless there's an opportunity in the future, or an opportunity for me to move up and start doing the things that I want to. And then also with the feature and working on that, I think I'd probably still be in the development stage and still just thinking of, here's some good ideas I could maybe throw into it, but instead of that and just thinking, oh yeah, one day I'll get it done, it's no, I'm moving forward and I need to make this happen. I want to make this happen. And now I have the structure and the processes to be able to execute that. And so, yeah, I think that the good things probably still would have happened, but I don't think that they would have happened to the extent that they did. And I think probably the biggest takeaway for me is the confidence that I can do essentially whatever I want, in the sense that so long as the thought is there, and I believe that I will be successful no matter what I'm doing. It's just finding the things that I really enjoy the very most. That's what I don't feel like I had before. And that's one of the biggest things, because then it impacts so many different areas of my life, as far as even the way that I look at the money in my bank account right now. Before it was kind of like, is this enough? Or I want to make way more and everything. And even now when I look at it, it's, wow, we're doing great. I feel really good about where we are. We're making progress. And with my relationships at home, I feel like I have a better relationship with my daughter and my son than I would have had beforehand, because the time management, right? It's just being able to spend time with them, and meaningful time, not just pass the time or go and take care of this or that, but let's spend some meaningful time together and plan some fun stuff that we get to do together and build those memories and in turn the relationship. So yeah, I think it's helped quite a bit.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really
Yeah,
cool.
it's interesting because I remember that we did focus on the time management, but that you would often show up and have results in other areas of your life where you're like, oh yeah, and I lost 10 pounds and I did this other thing. And I was like, oh, cool. That's
like, nice.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah. Right.
All this stuff on the side. So that's cool.
Ate some pancakes.
That's right.
With my kids while I wrote.
All at the same time. Computer
amazing.
in one hand, spatula in the other. It was good.
While I was on a treadmill losing weight.
Yeah.
Okay, you teach me now. Yeah. How do we do that?
No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you feel like you want to talk about, or that we didn't cover?
I'll say one more thing. I have to thank you, Anna, for being so dialed in and knowing how to help me specifically improve time management. And honestly, it's funny, sometimes I get I feel like I've been a lot more sensitive lately, getting emotional a lot more often, because I'm a lot more in tune with, like, I feel like who I am, what I want to accomplish, and what's meaningful to me in life. And being able to, honestly, this is something that's helped me be able to get those things, or to give those things the time that they need in my life for me to feel like I'm a full person. And that sounds kind of weird to say out loud, but somebody who really is doing the things that they want to, and and is leading a meaningful life that if I was to die today, heaven forbid, I feel like I could leave this world and feel really happy with what I've done, because of the program has helped me definitely realize like there's a lot that I have to contribute in this life, and it's helped me find ways to accomplish those things that are meaningful to me, and just be able to move forward, not feel that guilt that I felt so much, in the evenings from what did I do today, but actually like feel like I'm making progress. I'm making this world a better place. I'm doing the things that I want to and need to. And end of the day, it's just, for me, it was an absolute answer to prayers, and just exactly what I needed at the time. And I feel that all the time. And I jump on the website fairly often, just to like, even just going to the website helps my brain kick into like, okay, here we go. Just gets that semi moving, like we established earlier, as far as just getting that momentum moving and getting back on track when I'm feeling like I'm starting to get a little laggy. So
yeah, I mean, if you ever feel like you need to distract yourself from some editing projects that are bumming you out, just hop on the website at visiblemansion.com.
Seriously,
waste some time on some time management courses.
For real though, it's crazy how much it helps my brain just sort of shift. But anyway, that was unprompted, but I just honestly, just for the two of you guys, thank you so much. And I know, Kent, you shook your head, but I think you're as much a part of this as anybody. And so thank you guys for putting in the effort to make, well, I should speak to my experience, but to help me just get the things done that I'm wanting to do, and just honestly overall just improve my life. So it's been an answer to prayers. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure to catch up and see how you're doing, and to record the podcast together. And honestly, I feel the same way. Everything you're saying, I'm like, amen. I'm so grateful to the person who taught me these tools and how they've improved all the areas of my life. And so it's really exciting to see other people benefit in the same way.
Yeah. I mean, I've stuff you've been saying about like feeling like you're becoming more sensitive. Part of that might be because you have like sounds like a 10-month-old.
Yeah, they'll do it to you.
the dadhood does make us more sensitive, but what you're expressing was like that you feel like what's more meaningful to you now, what actually matters and what means most to you, and what makes your life mean something. And I have felt that intensely over the last, just compoundingly over the last year or two, and especially in the last few months in our life, I'm just realizing more and more. Just, I don't know. I just really, it's the amen thing that Anna was saying. I really appreciate that you say that, because that's really what it's all about. It's not just about get the movie done or not. Make a movie and you'll feel complete for the rest of your life. That's really not true. Yeah. But it's really the main byproduct that I hope everyone gets out of the program is find some meaning in your life, and then you'll make movies that actually matter. So yeah, no, that's awesome.
Well, and I think we often feel that way. We feel like once I make my feature film, then I'll be happy and everything will be great. Or once I have money, or once I have time, or once I'm married, whatever it is, we all have something that we think, once I have this circumstance different in my life, then I'll be happy. And so you join the program and you think, I'm going to make this feature film and then I'll be happy. And what you realize is, I don't actually need to make the feature film to have a meaningful life, but I'm going to anyway, and I'll have a meaningful life along with it.
Right.
So.
What happens when you find meaning in life is you actually find a lot of motivation to make films and tell stories, because
you have stories to tell.
Like a fire.
Right. Exactly.
Well, I'm also really excited, Sam, to watch your movie. I know it's going to happen, and I know I'm going to have to be patient. I know I'm going to have to be patient. I'm not trying to put any pressure on you, but I'm really excited to see it. So you're building an audience already, at least with
that's good.
With the Tallmans, we're anxious we're anxious to contribute to the ROI of that film. So
yeah. Well, thanks, you guys. I appreciate it, and it's good to verbally commit. On this platform as well.
Yeah.
It's on air.
That is the accountability where it's okay. People know about this.
Everyone's Googling like the IMDb page for the unnamed Sam Featherstone project.
That's what it's called, the unnamed Sam Featherstone project. So, yeah. Anyway.
All right. Well, we'll let you get back to your family, but don't be a stranger. Let us know where you're at. Just stay in contact.
Yeah, absolutely.
You send us a script, and we'll send you a test screening of our of our feature, and we'll both be able
Sounds
to
good.
feel
Yeah, we
bad
can
about each other.
both be really
Or-
honest with each other. Yeah.
Yeah, honest feedback is the best. Okay. Well, thanks you guys. I really
All
appreciate
right.
it.
Me
Yep.
too.
Have a good
Thanks,
night.
Sam.
Yep. You too. See ya.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for joining us today. If you like what you're hearing on the podcast, you'll love the Film and Family Academy, a program designed to teach anyone how to make a feature film.
No, we won't teach you how to put a camera on a tripod. This is for professional filmmakers who want to transition into a feature film career.
You cannot have a career making feature films until you've made at least one. Anyone can make a feature film using our proven model.
The things that are holding you back aren't what you think. You don't have to quit your day job, neglect family responsibilities, have tons of money, or sacrifice your health. There is a sustainable, healthy way to make your dream a reality, and that's exactly what you'll learn in the Film and Family Academy.
It's risk-free. If you follow all the steps in the program, you'll finance and finish a feature film by the end, or we'll give you your money back.
Learn more at invisiblemansion.com/film and family, or click the link in the show notes.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.